Another edition of the Greatest Calls Bracket Interviews. Fortunate enough today to be joined by the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs, Mitch Holthus. Just finished up year number 26. Mitch, I know it was a special one for you, coming off a Super Bowl title. How's everything going? How are you and yours doing?
Well, just do the math. I mean, it's been 50 years since the Chiefs won Super Bowl IV, and it was my 26th season. So, hey, yeah, it was a long time of waiting and coming and some disappointments. And then finally to break through to win it was incredible. And we're doing fine here, man. We're hanging in there. I'll give you a baseball analogy. We're just fouling off pitches like everybody else, trying to get you to third to score on a sac fly. I mean, that's where we're at right now. So prayers up for everyone, and we'll get through this.
Well, you had a couple calls in the running to reach the bracket. One did, and one is into the round of 32. You knocked off Don Fisher in round one. Your call, the Chiefs reaching the Super Bowl, as you mentioned, for the first time in 50 years. Of course, you go on to win it, but your final radio call of that clincher to get to the Super Bowl for the first time in 50 years. Why don't we play that real quick for everybody, and then we can kind of talk through the call, the moment, and, of course, the ultimate call of going on to win the Super Bowl.
50 years of waiting. 50 years. And the Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. 18 seconds, they will count it down here at Arrowhead Stadium. The Chiefs' kingdom, hoping. Their dreams have come true. Hail! Hail to the King of the Chiefs' kingdom forever. Because today, the team that Lamar Hunt founded has just won Lamar Hunt's trophy in the stadium that was Lamar Hunt's dream. Kansas City is the AFC champion. They are headed to Miami for Super Bowl 54. Final score, Kansas City 35, Tennessee 24.
Unlike a lot of calls in this bracket, this one is as fresh as it gets. It's the freshest call in the entire bracket. But what goes through your mind as you listen back to that?
Well, Jack, honestly, I had to put together 50 years in 3 or 4 sentences. That's what's going through my mind. And it was almost like the Chiefs won 2 Super Bowls. Think about this. Since the mid-'80s, the AFC champion has been handed the Lamar Hunt trophy, and the Chiefs have never won it. They've had to see the Patriots win it and the Raiders win it and the Broncos win it. And to have the moment that the Lamar Hunt trophy was in the hands of Clark Hunt, his son, and Norma Hunt, his widow, was a moment that, again, transcends sports. And to have that all come and to have it happen at Arrowhead Stadium, here's an interesting tidbit. In 60 years of franchise history, the Chiefs had never won, or they had never hosted an AFC Championship game until 2018. And to keep in mind, they're going to win that game too. They have an interception to beat the Patriots, but Dee Ford was offside by just a couple of inches.
Oh, yeah.
Or history might have been made the year before. So there's all this waiting and even this pain and seeing handing the trophy to other teams for years. And finally now the Hunt family got to capture the trophy at that moment. It was almost like winning a second Super Bowl.
As the moment is building, and you know this is happening because they turn. What was the deficit in the AFC? It was at least a 10 or 11 point deficit in the AFC.
They were down 10, yeah.
Yes,
they were down 10 in that game. They were down 24.
Right.
In the divisional playoff game.
Yeah, that run was obviously incredible. What they did against the Texans and then the Super Bowl, they end up coming down from double digits as well with 7 minutes left. But as it's going through your mind, because they have a double-digit lead, you know Mahomes is going to take the knee. You're going to have to build the words. Are you thinking in the last couple minutes, how am I going to phrase this? Or is it just straight off the cuff, just find a way to get the words out?
A little of both, because it was such a moment of magnitude that, and not just with the Chiefs kingdom, but really with professional football. Because honestly, Jack, when you drill that call down, you understand or get into why is it such a big deal that the Lamar Hunt trophy has been won by his team. And then all the historians take charge and realize Lamar Hunt had as big an impact on professional football as just a handful of people, whether it's George Halas or Lombardi or others, because it was Lamar Hunt that kept the AFL going. It was Lamar Hunt that brought in a lot of things to professional football that we have today, the 2-point conversion, names on the back of the jerseys, naming the Super Bowl, the playoff structure, revenue sharing. All that was the dream of Lamar Hunt. So at that moment, for Lamar Hunt's team to win his trophy in the stadium that he loves so much and is such an iconic venue, it was, again, a moment that expanded well beyond just that point in time.
I remember reading a couple articles in leading up to this talk with you, Mitch, about Norma Hunt and what she was talking about. It must have been Super Bowl 50 when she was saying to, she's saying to Clark, it'd be great if we could get here and, win one of these. Here's your call of the Chiefs actually going on to win Super Bowl 54 over the 49ers.
The game is over, and the Chiefs Kingdom has firmly planted its flag on top of football's highest summit. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions of Super Bowl 54. Final score, Kansas City 31, San Francisco 20. And Chiefs Kingdom, get ready to welcome your champions.
Like the team, you were a very busy guy for a few weeks there, not only calling the games and all the stuff that goes along with calling a Super Bowl, but trying to form the words to describe two of the biggest moments, not only in Chiefs history, but in NFL history.
Yeah, no question. And even before that, another call that might have been in the honorable mention run is one that's actually quoted as much or more by fans of the Chiefs Kingdom, which is now becoming worldwide. The Chiefs are becoming a team that the world loves, not just the Chiefs Kingdom, but the Damian Williams run to immortality, because that sealed it. I mean, the Chiefs were down with, you mentioned 7:15 to go. They're down by 10 points to a really, really, really good team with a really, really, really good defense. And all of a sudden they have another improbable comeback. They're third in as many games in the playoffs. And Damian Williams runs to immortality and will forever be remembered in the hearts of the Chiefs Kingdom forever. Again, the magnitude of the moment, again, transcended the team, as you alluded to. But at the end, because I had given the comparison like a lot of folks have, but NFL to win the Super Bowl title had taken 5 decades to get back. And it was this long climb up a mountain, and it was mountain slides and snow slides and, losing your pickaxe on the climb. There was all these disappointments and just challenges. And then finally, they're at the top of the summit. The one thing that I wanted to mention, and in my mind, I wanted everybody to feel at that moment they were planting that flag. The Chiefs Kingdom's awesome. If you've ever been to Arrowhead Stadium to a game, and how unifying it is. In our culture now, we're so fractured over things. Well, the Chiefs Kingdom brings everybody together, seemingly race, creed, or color, or whatever you're going to be involved in some political, argument. You're going to come together. But I wanted everybody to feel that they were planting that flag. And honestly, the feedback from that call has been exactly that. They said we felt like we were there exactly at that point. And I wanted that imagery to be there, not only for the moment, but for as long as people could live and remember it.
We're not going to include it here, Mitch, but one of my favorite things to watch too was when you started off the parade and you got to do your little speech at the top, and I had a great time. Well, I've watched that now back a couple times too. One final thing I wanted to talk to you about, as you know, a big part of this bracket is the matchup process. You knock off the longtime voice of the Indiana Hoosiers, Don Fisher, in round one.
Love Don. This hurt to beat him. It hurt to beat him because I've known Don for 30 some years and I love him. But Don Fisher, Indiana Farm hero, to knock him off was huge.
Now you got a date with Vin Scully in round two, and his call of Hank Aaron hitting home run number 715, which is, of course, an amazing call because he's the road announcer, and yet people will say that he maybe did the best job of summing up the whole moment and the environment. I know we talked to you. You've met Vin 1 or 2 times. What are your thoughts on Vin as a person and, of course, as an announcer in that call?
Well, first of all, I wanted to complain to the committee. I feel like Seth Greenberg here. I even tweeted out, as you know, Seth didn't even make this tournament. So, sorry, Coach. But honestly, I'm thinking in Andy Reid, the Chiefs head coach, loves Vin Scully. He grew up kind of in the shadows of Dodger Stadium, and we talk about Vin a lot in casual conversations. But I said it's like BYU beating Indiana, like in an 8-9 game, and now you not only draw North Carolina or Duke, you're really drawing the Chicago Bulls from the Last Dance. That's who you're playing in this tournament if you're me. So you've seen me put up Chaminade and Virginia pictures on Twitter. I put up David and Goliath today, take you back to the Old Testament. But Vin Scully is the best, I think, ever. And he does have that ability to capture the moment that is historical and lives on like a great wine you have in the wine cellar. But he's also a poet, and he's able to write. I mean, he is with his words and how he captured that moment. I know exactly where I was, and I watched that game. I was youngster at a meeting of other youngsters in a school event, and we were watching the game because we knew Hank could make the record against Al Dowling, by the way, was throwing that pitch for the Dodgers. So it was, as you mentioned, is against Vin's team, but I know exactly where I was at the time. But so Vin's call makes you realize, it takes you back to that time, but then it just kind of brings you up throughout the days and months and years. And that's the genius of Vin Scully, his articulation, his historical accuracy, but his ability to be actually almost like a writer of a great novel or a great book in a call. And that's what he did with this call and others.
Well, that's Mitch Holthus, longtime voice of the Kansas City Chiefs. Again, just wrapped up year number 26, and of course got to call the first Chiefs Super Bowl victory in 50 years. His call of them winning the AFC Championship is featured. Mitch, I can't thank you enough for taking the time.
Jack, thanks for putting me in this tournament, and thanks for at least giving me one win in the tournament. Now, if I beat Vin Scully, I did a basketball game once for ESPN, and TCU was ranked 264 in the country. Kansas was ranked number 1. And TCU beat Kansas. I ended that game saying Raptors are running the streets of Fort Worth. If I beat Vin Scully, it might be indeed the sign that it's the end of times and rivers run backwards. So people may want to pay attention to this matchup.
In a sense, that would only be right for the time that we're in.
Precisely. It just brings revelation into the moment, like, and it's in there somewhere encrypted, like Mitch Holthus just beat Vin Scully in this tournament. It's like a 0.00001 chance of happening, but hey, in the words of Jim Carrey, so you're saying I've got a chance.